Simplified Chaos, episode 114.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my co-host and husband, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? We hope you all are having a wonderful week. Sorry about missing last week, but we've had a little bit of chaos in our life, and we're here to talk to you about it today. Jilly, what are we going to dive into?
The roller coaster ride that is selling our house.
Yes, we've gotten a few questions about that, and we have taken a few steps since we've talked to you last, so we're going to share that with you today. But before we dive into that, as always, we love to show a little gratitude. So, Jilly, what are you grateful for this fine week?
I'm grateful for spaghetti.
Ooh, good call. That's sitting very nicely in my belly right now.
Mostly because we got to watch Lucille eat it. It's
yes.
quite damn adorable watching Lucille eat spaghetti. I mean, I feel like half the spaghetti went on the stool and half the spaghetti went on the floor, but she did go down on the floor and eat it, which was pretty adorable too. But yeah, it's just like spaghetti stained skin on toddlers is just the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, you know going into spaghetti night that it's just going to be a mess no matter what, so you're pretty much prepared for that. But yeah, toddlers, babies, eating spaghetti is one of the best things in the entire world. I know not everybody might agree with us, but we sure as hell love it.
I love it. What about you?
There are so many things to be grateful for this week, but I'm going to have to go with my parents for our little impromptu trip that we took to Delaware. I think a lot of my gratitude always kind of ties into like episode themes and whatnot, and we really needed to just kind of step away from things this weekend and remove ourselves from where we were at.
Literally, emotionally.
Across the spectrum, all the pillars of well-being, we just needed to get away. And we called my parents, I think it was on Monday of last week, and said, hey, impromptu trip, are you cool if we come Friday, leave Sunday? And of course they said yes. So we headed down Friday night, and luckily, for those of you who may be listening for the first time, we live in Maryland. My parents live in Delaware. I was going to say Virginia, but they live in Delaware, and we have to cross the Chesapeake Bay Bridge to get to their house, and Friday nights can be a little dicey. Well, this Friday, no traffic. We just straight beelined it there during rush hour, which really there wasn't a rush hour. And the trip back was also great, but I mean, everything in between was just amazing. And, thanks again to my parents for being such an amazing host and taking us in while we needed to just take a break.
And it's interesting. I didn't realize how much we needed that until we got there. Until we got to the beach and we were like, our toes were in the sand and we were just like, man, I feel like I can breathe and take off the multiple layers of jackets of anxiety that I've been wearing for the past how many months, and you don't really know you're wearing them, all of these jackets of responsibilities and just heaviness of this process, until like you get out in nature into a spot where you're just like, fuck, I feel lighter. I just feel better when I'm out here, so yes, super grateful for your parents. They are freaking rock stars.
I think we've had a lot of those moments where we find ourselves breathing easier over especially the last 2 weeks. I can think of multiple moments where it's just like, oh my God, the weight has been lifted. So, for those of us joining us and maybe joining us for the first time, we are in the middle of selling our house. Jill grew up in this house. She's lived here since she was 7 years old. And we also lived here with her sister and her husband and their son over the last 2.5 years. Well, yeah, last 2 years. And this is a big change for us. And it was a big, long process to kind of get this house ready and where it needed to be in order for us to put it on the market. And we're finally here. This past Thursday, which is why we didn't bring you an episode last week, which we greatly apologize for. We'll make it up to you one way or another.
This may be a long episode.
This could be a long episode. We don't know. We are pretty much winging this one. I mean, this is a tell-all kind of thing. But last Thursday, the house went on the market, and today is Monday when we're recording this, and we are under contract. Took a couple days, but leading up to this point has been chaotic, and we have done our best to try to simplify the chaos in our lives, but we're all humans, and our emotions are everything just kind of takes over when you go through a big change like this, and or at least preparing for a big change. And I would say we've felt it all over the last 3+ weeks.
Yes.
So where do you want to start here today, Jilly?
Man, I feel like I'm all over the place. We had a couple questions, and then I kind of jotted down just ways I have reflected on this experience. It's interesting, like going into this experience was like brand new to me. Like I've never had to sell a house before, but I reflected just on like what I think made this process feel a little bit easier. And I'm grateful that we were able to do that because I feel like it helped streamline trying to get the house for sale. So I kind of have things that I wanted to share that I feel like have simplified getting the house ready to sell. And then I have I thought it'd be cool to kind of like chat about the questions that we were going to dive into.
Okay, let's do it. I'm game. I'm ready to go.
I don't want to say like simplifying moving because technically we haven't moved yet, but I do want to say like these things I feel like have totally simplified like the process of selling. And the first thing on my list, it's funny, a lot of these had to do like more mentally than anything.
Oh, it's I think it's very mental. Like you have to really be in the right mindset. And I don't even think really being in the right mindset's even a thing. Like nothing prepares you for the first time you sell a house.
So true. And I feel like the first thing, it's having a community of people around you that support you and are willing to jump in and help whenever you need it, because it's very mentally draining, like just going through things, donating things, figuring out what to keep, what not to keep. And then, some of those things may be quote unquote sentimental. Some of those things, might have a long history. And it's like, you have to think about like that whole evolving process. And it goes pretty deep because it's like you're shedding a part of yourself when you're moving. You're shedding the past and you're moving on to a better and brighter you. So there's just a lot of thoughts and things going in your head, and you definitely need a team of supporters going into this, not only friends and family, but also for me, like going to acupuncture, like just having professional help as well, because it's a lot emotionally to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to purify myself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka here. But, it's one of those things where, we had to go through a lot of stuff. Luckily, for us, we've done such a great job over the last, and I would say this has really been a 4 or 5 year process. I can't even remember when we started this, but you and I have been purging stuff for quite some time. So we're now down to what we absolutely need in order to function in this house, and I feel so light. It's amazing, but getting there was a process, and for us, I think it was not as deep as far as like those sentimental things, because we had 2 families here, and with your sister and our brother-in-law starting a house for their first time, there's a lot of things that they need, and we were able to provide that for them. And they obviously had some things saved here. They just got married last year and they got a lot of things there, but like there's things that we just can't take with us. We're downsizing, and we were able to keep things within the family, and hopefully still keep some of that sentimental value to some of those items. And they're in a family that's going to use it and love it and cherish it. Yeah.
And I don't know, selling a house to me is very synonymous to like you're cleansing. So it's like, you think about like a body cleanse. It's hard work because you're literally taking things out of your normal day to day and like getting it out of there. To purify yourself. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's like we're cleansing our life right now. And it's a hard process because there's a lot of things that we're used to having that we've used for years and years, or, it's been in our house for long periods of time, whether that was used or not. But it's like a lot of things that you're used to holding on to, you're cleansing it and getting out of here. And it feels better afterwards, but the process going through it is just mentally draining. But so that was like one thing that I feel like I've learned a lot through the selling process is just really making sure that you're mentally prepared and having that support around you to kind of help you, even to let you just vent about it. I remember there's a lot of nights where, one of us was more heavily stressed than the other, and like you wouldn't realize it until we're like laying in bed, and either you would kind of like vent and like get some things out,
right,
or either I would be like, listen, I wasn't feeling this way, but now I am. And it was just kind of like ping-ponging back and forth, just not to complain, but just to kind of get things out that we know we were feeling for reasons that weren't that. It was just other things building up that were like, man, this process is so fucking tough. It's a lot tougher than we thought.
Yeah, for me, my mind was always on what's the next thing I got to do. Because not only did we cleanse the house, of things, we had to cleanse it physically as well. There were some things that you kind of let go over the years and you don't think about, cleaning them, baseboards and stuff like that. So for me, my mind was constantly on, what is it that I got to do next? What is I got to do next? And some days I would work a lot, but it didn't really seem like there was a lot of progress being made. At least, in my eyes, I visually didn't see it happening, even though I knew it was happening. And I think that added to a lot of the stress and anxiety that I was experiencing, over the last month and a half, 2 months. But, you were great at listening, or at least letting me vent. And just being my partner in this, and if conversations needed to be had, you were, willing to have those. So, I mean, it was extremely important to have a partner in this and somebody who was, with me every step of the way. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think I should have mentioned this. Part of the other support is just really investing in finding the quote unquote right real estate agent for you.
Yes.
I think that has simplified a lot of decision making and just negotiating. So just having a really good relationship with whoever you decide to kind of help you sell your house has been so worth it, because not only does he kind of get to know us and really know our wants and needs and kind of deal with that with the buyers, or the potential buyers, but he also kind of is that person, that neutral person to be like, hey, should we fix this or should we not? Is it worth doing this or is it not? Instead of like constantly worrying about what do we fix? What do we not fix? Is this good enough? So it's kind of like we just go to him and be like, listen, instead of us worrying about everything in our house, why don't we just ask him? And he, like being a real estate agent, I'm sure like most of them have lists. It was nice being like, oh, hey, here's the list of things to check off before you put your house on the market. Like those small little things to help guide you, like lists, plans, were so helpful in this process.
Oh, definitely.
And even having like his list kind of help us say, okay, let's brainstorm now. I think it was like 2 months in advance. Like, what is our plan for like, are we doing room by room? Like, what are we tackling this week? And I think us just having that communication and just kind of making a plan of chunking projects along the way has made it a lot easier instead of waiting to the last minute to do everything. You were so diligent about like, this week I'm going to call for fixing the siding. All right, this week I'm going to call for fixing the post out front. So I think by starting ahead of the curve and like planning out these small little projects along the way, it kind of helped it make it'll feel a little bit lighter. Like it was still heavy, but it felt a little bit lighter knowing that there wasn't as much to do near the end.
Yeah. I mean, we started from the very first meeting that we met with our real estate agent. We were like, okay, this is what we need to do in order to make sure that we're not scrambling at the end. And, even though it felt like we were scrambling at the end, it was for different reasons. And, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, how like everything really has just lined up for us. I mean, even though it's been a stressful process, when we look back on just how the dominoes have fallen over the last 2 months, like, I don't know that we could script a better story for that. So yeah, it was definitely a process, but I am glad that we started it early and kind of chipped away at things so that this last week just wasn't utter hell for us. So, that's the thing. I know not everybody has the luxury of being able to have that time between the time you decide to sell and then when you actually put the house on the market. But if you do have that luxury, my advice is the second that you say that you're going to do that, just start working on it. And if just an hour a day can go a long way. Like, there might be days that you just don't feel like doing anything. And yes, you need to take that break and not do anything on a certain day. I'm not saying that I did something every day, but I had a plan saying that I want to accomplish this week or by Saturday or by Sunday, and just kept on pushing that. And that's what really helped us get across this finish line and maintain some sort of sanity during this process.
Yeah, and I think we kind of chatted about this in a previous episode. I think when you're in it, you're in it. Like, you feel like there's no light at the tunnel just because you think that there's like so many small projects to do. And I know what really had helped us is planning getaways like ahead of time. Like, hey, we're intentionally planning to go away for a night to get out of the house. Like, I think creating that space to get out of that zone, that work zone, was so helpful because it allowed us to get back to the big picture. And I think that's important to keep daydreaming about, your future. And the reason why you're moving, I think, is really, it's important to always go back. Like, when it feels hard, rough, when you start to get emotional, attached, it's like, the reason why we're selling it is because of A, B, and C. Like, this is the life. This is the things that we value. These are all of the reasons why. And to keep reiterating that to yourself and with whoever you're doing it with, to always keep like dreaming of that big picture, because that is what kind of helps instill like, this is the right decision. We're doing this for all of these great reasons. And it kind of helps put like momentum back in your step when you're feeling like the drudgery of everything that you have to do.
Yeah. And I'm glad we did take those getaways that you had mentioned, because I think whenever they were brought up, I was just like, but that's a day that I can't work on the house, but like, I needed it. And I'm so glad that we took those getaways when we did, because it definitely helped with my sanity. And I know I keep going back to my sanity, but I mean, all of this combined is what really, helped me keep it together.
No, like, intentionally planning fun. Like, it's even like with work, like, they say you can't be productive if you're working 24/7. So it's like, you have to remember that we're human and we have to find joy throughout the process. So I think, as cliche as it sounds, like, find joy in the journey, enjoy the journey. So it's not just like working on the house and getting ready to sell it. It's like, we have this great plan and we're going to work and do these small projects, but along the way, like, how can we have fun during this? Like, where can we go to celebrate? Like, we did all of this work. Let's go celebrate and have fun, or let's have a date night on this week, or, let's keep our latte dates going consistently. Let's not change a lot of the fun in our lives, but because that is, again, what lights us up and is exciting for us. And it helps keep our mental load, like, somewhat balanced.
Well, and it kept us celebrating like the small victories that we had when we like completed a room and whatnot. So, that was awesome that we would, just go out and celebrate that. So, yeah, I mean, what a journey, this has been so far. And we kind of going back to support systems, like, we couldn't have done it without, the support of so many people. We talked at the beginning of the episode of my parents just allowing us, impromptu trip to come down there. Your dad was in town a week and a half ago and really helped with not only getting our house ready, but we also had to help move your sister and our brother-in-law out because they bought a house too. So when I'm talking about how the dominoes fell into place, like, they got on it, they were able to get the house that they wanted, that they were really looking forward to buying, which just so happened to be the house that's directly next door to your mom. But even just the timing of that settlement, and even when the settlement was kind of up in the air just for a couple of, small things, like it all happened the way that it needed to happen. And they were able to move out before we were able to get our photos done and put the house on the market. So like just the support from all those directions, from them and their willingness to get the process done on their end and move out that weekend. Like it all came together, but we needed a lot of people to really just kind of be on the same page with us. And it's sometimes that can be a little frustrating just when everybody's got their own things going on in their lives. You can't really change that. But at the end of the day, we all came together and made it happen. So, I'm extremely appreciative to everyone involved in that process.
Takes a village to sell a house.
It does.
Especially like when there's multiple families involved, for sure. Yeah, definitely support. Support in all avenues, whether that's, people support, real estate agents, like investing in support is literally like, I feel like how we get through life in general. So why wouldn't it be the simplifying key for selling a home? Yeah. I don't know what else to say about this.
It's all good. Did you have any questions from some listeners you want to dive into?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So one of the questions, I think we may have answered it, was basically like how are you dealing with like the process of moving? Like, what does that look like? And I think we kind of answered that by,
we definitely did.
We made a big plan. We set our goals for getting projects done, and we made sure to intentionally plan fun getaways, things that are just enjoyable for us along the way. And just, again, as cliche as it sounds, frickin' find fun in the process. Enjoy the process. To me, selling a house is like going on a really long road trip. It's like, instead of just going beeline straight there and stressing out about, oh, I have to stop and go to the bathroom. Oh, I hope the kids don't do this. Or I hope, it's like, instead of stressing about it, it's like, let's have all these different road stops along the way and have fun while we're doing it, instead of just like getting through, just drudge. When are we there yet? This sucks, So,
well, I think there's a couple of things I want to add that we didn't really touch upon, but we kind of did. But communication was certainly key. You and I communicating back and forth, like how we're feeling, what needs to get done.
For sure.
Again, being able to vent. You and I have been together for we've been dating for 9 years. We've been married for almost 7 years. And, we haven't had like a fight at all. I think at points we may have been agitated with each other, during this, and it was, just out of, what we were feeling. But at the end of the day, like, we would say our things, we would stop talking for just a few minutes, and then, we would kind of get back together and be like, all right, let's, let cooler heads prevail and talk it out. And it worked out perfectly there. But I would say the other thing is that we did extremely well during this process. And I think we talked about it just the other night, is that we played on each other's strengths too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Like, my strength is like seeing like the different things with the house and like just tackling it, whether it's like cleaning a wall or a baseboard or something like that. Like, that's kind of like what I do. And obviously, with you, like, you're great with both the kids and you're great at cleaning too. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but
you're more of the perfectionist.
Yeah.
You have the patience for it. Well, I'm just kind of like, yeah, it looks good enough. And you're like, no, this isn't good enough. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to let you get to that. And, I'm good at being wild and free with the kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was, again, extremely, helpful that we kind of did it unintentionally, or at least unconsciously, that's the way it all played itself out. But that's the way it was. We played on each other's strengths, and that's what helped us get to where we are.
Yeah. And then sometimes, like, I feel guilty. Like, I feel like I didn't do as much as you, but I think we both played our parts and it just looked differently. But we both, again, we both worked together to just be like, this is what I'm really good at. This is what you're really good at. So why not just do that?
And that's what we did.
Yeah. And I will say what kind of helped me prepare, I didn't mention this, just, I don't watch TV at night anymore. I haven't done that in a long time. I have been reading a lot of uplifting books, which kind of prepares my mindset to deal with those conversations. So that way, when I do feel a certain way or I feel like these emotions coming, I kind of know how to handle myself better and I think it prepares me for kind of saying the quote unquote right thing to you when you feel agitated. So I'm not like leading you even further down a rabbit hole and making you even more agitated. So I will say the books that I've been reading have been so damn helpful for my mind to kind of be proactively ready for having these discussions and handling the chaos. So it's been like a mini therapy in book form once at night.
It's definitely worked.
It has. One of the other questions was, how are you handling like everything sentimental when you're moving? Like what does that look like? And I think we kind of touched upon that really thinking about our future selves. What do we want to bring to our future life? What do we want to bring, what is up-leveling us and what is kind of weighing us down? And I think when you keep thinking about where do you see yourself in the future, what kind of life that you see yourself having, it helps you let go of all of the things that you don't need to carry on with you to your next like stage in life. It's just like this served a purpose in this life, and I'm finally ready to like let that go. And I think it's also a feeling too. You like know when it's ready. It just comes natural. Like I'm ready to let it go because it's not serving a purpose anymore. It literally, I forgot about it all these years, or it's just, and it's just like, all right.
And it's something you have to practice like all the time. It's not something you just do when you're selling a house. I feel like what we've done the last 5 years has really prepared me. I almost don't even think twice about something. Like if my gut tells me that it needs to be gone and that, I'm not taking it with me somewhere else, then I really don't think twice about it. And there's a lot of things that I know that my brother-in-law would like to have and would put to use. Like I have a chop saw that I've used a handful of times that I'm totally appreciative. My dad got that for me when we got this house, and he said, hey, you're gonna have projects, and of course we use it a lot, but with the new house, I just don't see us having that many projects that we're gonna have to take on. So I'd rather give it to somebody who I know is going to use it and use it often. So those are just kind of the example of things like, it's not that I'm throwing it away or just, ungrateful for what it has done for me in the past, but like my gut just says, hey, this is not something that you're going to need. And if I do need something, we'll figure it out. That's what neighbors are for, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I'd rather see things go to somebody who's going to value them, who's going to use them and take care of it. And he's that guy. So, there's a lot of things that I think that he'll get great use out of. And I'm happy to pass it along to somebody within the family.
Yeah.
Or even if a friend wanted something, for me, it's just like, I may have spent money on that. I may have spent a lot of money on that, but it doesn't serve any purpose for me anymore. So I'm okay with letting that go and not bringing that into our next life.
I 100% agree. I think definitely having a letting go muscle and flexing it consistently is what has really helped us shed the outer skin that's just like, we're done. And whether you feel it or not, and I'm sure you feel it when you shed the stuff, like stuff carries a weight. And once you shed more and more of that weight of the stuff that's like, it's not helping me grow into the person I want to be or be the person I want to be anymore. It's like, damn, why did I wait so long to shed all of that shit? It's just, you feel the effects afterwards. And it's like, it's almost like getting that runner's high, or like, after you work out or get a sweat, it's like, why was it so hard in the beginning? And then after you get that feeling, it's like, it's like a rush. You want to keep doing it and flexing that muscle of like letting go, practicing of letting go the things that, that you may have had for all these years, and they may have had a sentimental effect or it had been in your heart at one point, but it's like also memories are not in the stuff.
In the stuff.
Memories are not in the things. And I think I realized that it took me a while to realize that that really it's the people.
Yeah.
It's the feeling.
It's the moment.
It's the moments. It's stuff that you can't wrap your hands around physically. You tangibly cannot like carry on memories with you. It's just like it's in you. Even my mom made a comment about our house. No, Randy did. My sister, she came in her house after, you know, it's been on the market, and she came in to grab a couple more things she forgot, and she was like, "Oh my God, the house doesn't even smell the same." And then my mom did mention something. She said, "I thought I was going to be a little bit more emotional about this whole situation, but I feel really okay." And I was like, it's because the energy is different. I was like, what made this house a home was the people.
Yeah.
And half the people that were in this home were now next door to you.
Right.
So it's like you got that feeling of home right next to you now because the people are there. I was like, and a lot of...
Yeah, a house is just an object. The home is like everything within it, and it starts with the people. It's
the people and the energy and the feeling. So I think that's a great reminder to help us remember, like, if we have to let go of things that may have been in our past or may have been, you know, related to a relative or a grandparent. It's like, it's all right. Like, that is not my grandparent. Like, that item, it's like they're with me. They have a piece of me. Like, when they raised me or when we had this moment together, that's how I carry on their legacy. It's not holding on to this desk just because it was theirs. It's like their legacy is in me, and my actions and my thoughts. But yeah. I think that summed it up very well. Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. Excellent job. Any other questions, or was that... No. Well, we had one more. It blew right in my eye. Did I? Yeah. I've been blowing a lot of dandelions tonight, so I've had some practice. Lucille, she's becoming quite the dandelion blower. Yeah, she loves them. We had one more question, and I think this one could be continued for the future, but one of our listeners asked us, how do we plan on simplifying in the future? And I think that's a great question that we can't fully answer now, but I can tell you we're going to have a lot to say once we move into Charlottesville and just feel the effects of this evolvement of what our life is going to look like and how it's changed. Well, simplification is such a broad thing. Like, there's so many areas that we're looking to simplify, and you know, just moving where we're moving really simplifies things like yard work for us, which allows us more time for other things and activities. So yeah, I think that's a topic for a whole episode, and especially like when we get down to Charlottesville and just kind of like seeing, you know, and maybe we do something like beforehand, like what we hope to accomplish, you know, when we move down there. And then maybe we do like a 6-month check-in afterwards and say, you know, were we able to simplify the ways that we wanted to, and then what's changed, what's different? Have we found better ways to simplify? Have we found it more difficult now that we're in a new area with, you know, less support than what we're used to? So I think that it is going to be an interesting journey that we're going to have to keep reporting on over the, you know, next 3, 6, 9 months, a year. Yeah, so true. And I like that this is all a journey. It's like we're never going to be fully there, but we do have our values, and we keep in that direction. And so far I am excited about more freedom with everything we value. That's the whole reason why we're doing this, is we're putting our values first, and we're putting up boundaries and saying no to the shit that's holding us back, and hell yeah to the things that's helping us get more of those. So yeah, reporting. Booyah. Booyah. Do you have any resources for our listeners today there, Jilly? I see you're pulling a book over. I wanted to shout out this amazing resource. Was so sweet. One of my coworkers, because I am leaving the profession of teaching, I signed my resignation papers, which was really not as romantic as I thought it would be. It was like a click of a button. You've for now resigned. But one of my coworkers that always sends these like really awesome positive messages, like almost every morning. I told her how much I was really going to miss getting them in my inbox since now I'm leaving, you know, the teaching world. And she was so kind enough to mail me this amazing book, and it's called A Year of Positive Thinking. And she was like, for all the emails you won't be getting from me, I hope this book, gives that to you. And it's the author is Cindy Spiegel, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She is phenomenal. It's daily inspiration, wisdom, and courage. And it's one of those books that you could be a coffee table book. Right now, it's my nightstand book because I'm like reading it. It's 365 days of just like inspirational shit to just like paint your brain.
Do you read more than one day? Or do you go back? Or is it supposed to be by the day, or is it just...
So it is labeled like March 1st or March 2nd, but I just literally started at the beginning and I just started reading and underlining. But I pick it up and I'll like go back and I'll like underline again, or I'll reread something again just because I'm like, oh, this one's really hitting me right now. Like I need these words in my brain for the moment.
Go back to January 17th.
So that is my resource for today because my quote of the day is from it.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
All right, well, drop it.
The date, not that it's important, but it's written on...
It is important.
April 10th.
April 10th. Hey, that was 2 days ago.
It was. So the title of this little page is Be Willing to be Surprised. We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. And that is by Joseph Campbell. And then she writes...
Isn't that a coincidence that was the night that we got the offer?
No, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. April 10th.
No shit.
Yeah.
And she writes this little blurb about the quote. If you were able to control each detail, you might feel safer. But the magic is often in the unknown. The beauty is in the surprises, and the grace is in the unexpected moments. Let go, surrender, ease up. Sit back and simply allow the magic to happen, and it will.
That's right.
And the hardest part is just waiting.
That is by far the hardest part.
So
Holy crap.
Hard. That's the part that I was not expecting it to be so anxious, was just the waiting part of like what's going to happen. But when I say the wait's worth it, the wait is so worth it.
Being patient is great. And I will close with this because I think part of the waiting game that made things so anxious is that nowadays when you sell a home, they give you this app that shows you like all the showings that are booked. You can see, what time they're coming. You can see things that are canceled. You can see feedback from the agents on your house, small closets or no privacy, just certain things like that. Don't look at all that stuff. Like just enjoy the wait. That's my one thing. My advice is just, if you do download it and you just want to see the appointments, that's fine. Just don't constantly look at it. And don't constantly check your email. You can get a text to you. You can get an email. Like, holy crap, just turn the notifications off.
And you think you want to know. And then once you do find out, you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
So take advice from us. Just put it away.
Or not. Or
don't.
You do you.
Yeah. All right. And take action challenge there, Jilly.
What should be the take action challenge?
Well, I would say from the standpoint of us talking about just waiting, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey that is life. This is all part of it. But
even the waiting part.
Keep
swimming in the direction you want and just keep waiting because it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor. You can either leave us a review or share this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation. Conversation leads to action. And action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will see you again next week.
See y'all later.